Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Pits To Podium. And this episode is a rather special one because today joining with me is Alex Lynn. He's the latest driver that Mahindra Racing has signed for the upcoming Formula E season, the second half, I must say. And Alex, what a pleasure it is to have you here. Firstly, congratulations on your move. And how excited are you to getting back on track with these Formula E cars in Berlin?
No, thank you very much. It feels really amazing to be back racing in Formula E, but also joining Mahindra Racing. I've spent a few years competing against them, so now now it's time to see what it's like with them.
Well, Alex, you've been in Formula E for quite a while. The one big distinct memory that comes up in mind is your pole lap in New York. That was a fantastic one. And you've been here for quite a while. So how did this whole thing with Mahindra Racing come about? Because you mentioned that you were competing against them for a while, and now all of a sudden you're on their team.
Yeah, well, I think it's no secret that I think everything happened quite quick within the lockdown period here in the UK, with Pascal leading the team. So yeah, of course they were looking for a new driver, and very quickly I was on the phone to Dilbag, the team boss, trying to push my CV under his nose.
And well, you've got quite a CV indeed in the end. But how did the things all come about? Because we know that things were getting rather interesting in the middle. We saw lots of drivers leaving. Things were very, very exciting in the Formula E paddock. As you mentioned, Pascal left. But getting to Mahindra, what do you feel about the team? Is it a buzz of excitement as we approach the next 6 races for the end of the season?
No, there really is a buzz, actually. As a team, it does feel like a very special atmosphere. Feels like a very friendly, almost family atmosphere. But at the end of the day, the size of the team is big. There are serious players in Formula E, and they're here to get results. I think it's a real positive and a plus point of the team that it can make you feel so welcome while still being obviously a powerhouse team.
No, absolutely. And Alex, you're no stranger to comebacks. I think you've made quite a few in Formula E after changing from one team to the other. And after you left Jaguar the last time out, I think this is your first ever race since the end of last season. So what are the intentions behind this particular comeback? What are the goals and objectives that you have in mind? And what do you think you can achieve with the team for this one?
Well, my goal is that it's going to be my last comeback. So no, I think the objectives are clear, that we want to turn up to Berlin and put on a good show. What that is, we're not sure yet, but certainly we want to be fighting for the big points, and we want to be sticking the car up the front in qualifying and racing there. I think that's really the aim for these next 6 races. It's going to come very fast, but we need to be ready for that.
Absolutely. And I think preparation is going to be one very key factor. And it's a strange time. We haven't been gone racing for quite a while. And you obviously haven't been in a racing condition for, I think, easily around 6 to 8 months, if I'm not mistaken. So how does it feel coming back into something quite like this with all the rush and excitement of Formula E? 6 races in a matter of 3 weeks. That must be a tough thing to prepare towards, isn't it?
It is tough, but, I don't feel, I was testing the other day, and it's funny how quickly it comes back. It does very quickly, the adrenaline and also all the emotions, and quickly you start getting down to a work ethic and a working environment that you remember. So I'm excited to see how it's going to be when we get there.
And have you been doing any simulator racing in the back just to keep yourself fresh and ready?
I did do some, yeah. I did the virtual Le Mans 24. I did a little bit of the race at home challenge with Formula E, but on the challenge grids with the sim pros. So spent a lot of time on trying to get anywhere near the pace, that's for sure.
Well, sim racing has been at the forefront of everything for quite a while. But coming back to the real world, Alex, you mentioned that you had a test with Mahindra Racing. I think that was the first pretty much orientation with the team ever since you've joined in. So how was that all about? And do you see any positive signs from that test heading towards Berlin?
I think I do see a lot, but it's something that we speak about with the engineers as well, is that I think we've done a lot of good work, and I believe we have made progress as a team. From when I started to where we are now, it seems like we've made quite a few gains, but we'd be foolish in thinking that every other team hasn't been working that hard, and we can't assume that. We need to assume that everyone's been putting in the same amount of work. So in that aspect, we need to stay very humble and let's see what happens. But certainly I'm proud of the work that's gone in from, not just my side, but the whole team. I've seen a huge work ethic from everyone. So from that side, I'm very proud to be a part of it. So let's see what happens.
Hopefully it ends up playing quite well. But Alex, the one thing that I love about Formula E is the fact that you just can't predict the pecking order. When you come into a race weekend, and as a fan at least, you have no clue about what's going to happen. Is this pretty much the same as a driver as well? And if that's the case, how do you prepare yourself mentally, knowing that, I could be first, I could be P10, P15, who knows where things can go?
You don't naturally prepare any different to any other racing series. But in the same token, that the likelihood is it's going to be mixed up and a bit crazy. So in that sense, it's exciting, but also stressful because, as a racing driver, you want to try and control as many elements as you can. But in this discipline of racing, it's almost impossible to control everything you'd like.
Absolutely. It's totally chaotic in the end, but let's get down to the next race. Berlin, it's going to be so much fun. I think it's the first time in the history of Formula E that we're having an event quite like this one. 3 different layouts of circuits, a total of 6 races. What are the challenges specific to Berlin? Because we know for a fact that it's a circuit unlike any other circuit on the Formula E calendar. So how do you prepare for a rather abrasive track like Berlin?
Yeah, well, I think the main thing is as well preparing for 3 tracks. All in like one preparation period. So right now, this week, we're going into our preparation period with the team, and then trying to do 3 tracks with the same space or the same amount of time that you would only prepare 1. That's very difficult to begin with. And then obviously doing 6 races on 3 different layouts on already something that was a technical course within a short space of time is going to be, I got to be honest, I'm not sure what it's going to be like. We can only say that we've been preparing as hard as possible, and we really have been. And we're gonna really try everything when we get there to put the best results on the track. But I think honestly, it is a bit of an unknown for everyone.
So there's going to be a lot of learning and learning for sure, because we have the original Berlin ePrix course, and then we have it reversed all the way back as well. And there's a lot of challenges involved. But Alex, as a driver and in the perspective of the team as well, what do you think is going to be the major focal point in terms of a team? Is it going to be, say, having a good amount of spares? Is it going to be having the right setup? How do you go about in a weekend like this one?
For me, it's going to be about who's done their homework, who's got the preparation correct for energy management, mainly on each different layout. Because like we said, Formula E is a series where preparation is critical because obviously everything happens in one day. We already know that. So, but during the day, you don't have a lot of time to actually do a lot of analysis because each session is coming thick and fast. So you don't have time to really review. So it means that your preparation needs to be perfect and you're just executing on race day. And trying to execute 6 times in the space of 10 days is pretty tough.
That's a rather tricky ask.
Yeah.
That's a rather tricky ask.
It's a big ask. It's a lot of brain power needed. So from that side, that for me is going to be critical.
It should be fun to see how things play out in the end. In Berlin, we know it's a fun track. We have seen a lot of good racing over there. But how do you personally look at the circuit? Because let's say your memories in terms of finishing positions haven't been very great at Berlin, but I'm sure it's a track that you like quite a lot in terms of the layout that it has.
Yeah, no, actually, I've always really liked it and always felt I'd gone well there. I was in Super Pole last year. Was running as high as 3rd before, unfortunately, the car broke down. So I do have good memories there. So actually, yeah, if you were to ask me if I could pick one circuit to go to and feel like I could make an impact, it would be Berlin, actually.
Hopefully that's going to be the case, Alex. And one thing I'm very curious to know about is simulation. Now, we have a bit of a gap between each couple of races. So after we're done with one weekend, we can then take a few days off and go to the next one. So if in that case you identify some things to improve on the car, say something to the suspension or something else that you can work on, are you going to have the liberty of using simulations to help develop the car? Or is it just going to be keep it as it is and just try and work by your instinct?
Well, obviously, the team has a lot of simulation software at their disposal, and it's heavily used in all forms of racing these days. But most most noticeably a lot in Formula E. In terms of backup base, we will have a lot of, well, there's a lot of people that will be working from the factory. So from that side, yeah, we will be trying everything we can to get as much info. But, you know, huge setup direction. I mean, to be honest, I hope we won't have to make any huge setup direction changes. Hopefully we're going to hit the ground running with a solid baseline and then work from there. But certainly, yeah, it's all part of, you know, the team is big, and it's not just the people of the circuit. We've got people back in the factory helping out all the time, which is critical these days.
No, absolutely. Quite a few factors involved in Formula E. And Alex, I just want to take our attention off Formula E a little bit towards global motorsport, because now we're in this rather unprecedented time with barely any racing going on for quite a while and lots of financial impacts as well. You also, along with being a Mahindra Formula E driver, are a factory driver for Aston Martin Racing in the WEC Championship. And that's something rather interesting. But what's happened of late is we've noticed that manufacturers are starting to pull off their money from sports car racing. So Porsche depart from IMSA. We've seen Audi take away their program in DTM. And do you think Formula E right now is the safest place to be in, considering how manufacturers are realizing, okay, you know, sports car racing isn't really offering us the best of incentives, and perhaps they can still invest money into Formula E and electric racing as such?
I think, well, is there any, I'd say, you know, at the end of the day, motor racing is, it's a luxury for all of us. We have to be honest, and I
Absolutely.
think certainly for big car brands, it's also it's a luxury as well. So from that side, I understand when sometimes it doesn't become relevant anymore to do a certain championship. I think at the end of the day, Formula E is extremely relevant, and I think again it's a big kudos to Formula E for how they are presenting their product in being so desirable for these manufacturers, and it is really desirable. It puts out the right message. It's fun, it's exciting, it's fresh, it's new, all of these words that we can associate with Formula E. So in that sense, I think it well, without doubt, it is the hottest championship in the world right now, I believe. And that's why I'm very proud to be a part of it.
Absolutely. But what do you think is in store for sports car racing as such? Because it's a bit sad to see diminishing grids in the GTE category. Some GT3 cars may suffer next year as well, because of course lots of rich people may think, you know, maybe I can keep hold of my finances instead of going racing for the next couple of years. So it's a tricky time. How do you think this will play out in the end after all of this settles down?
It's hard to know, to be honest with you. I think we're in the trusty hands of the FIA and the ACO when it comes to what we do with sports car racing. And I think genuinely, the sports car racing is always going to be there. It's actually a discipline of racing that goes even before any other racing discipline. And I think that for me it's a real bedrock of motorsport. So, you know, at the end of the day, sometimes we always see manufacturers come and go, but as a discipline, it will always be very strong, especially when you have a race like the Le Mans 24 hours that people always want to be a part of.
Absolutely. And well, speaking of sports car racing and Aston Martin, well, Aston Martin's coming back to Formula One next year, at least in terms of the naming rights. Is there anything going on right there? Do you think you have a chance of getting that seat in F1 back, just in case?
No. I think it's at the end of the day, I think that's totally separate. I race in the GTE class for Aston Martin, and other than that, my main focus is Formula E. That's for sure.
Well, once again, Alex, speaking of Formula E, you're back with Mahindra now. The last few stints were a bit decent. Again, lots of things to work on. And finally, who do you think is going to be a main competition? You said the pecking order is a bit hard to find, but if you had to put one benchmark, one target that you had to beat down, what would it be, just in case?
So I say that again. What would be our target?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, as a team and as a driver as well, as for you personally. I
think in the end, we need to be targeting points. We need to be targeting good points, strong points, being up the front in qualifying, racing well, racing hard, and you know, after that, again, I don't want to keep on saying it, but predicting results in Formula E is like, you know, winning the lottery. I think it's just as difficult. But I think what we do know is it's going to be hard. But I actually feel very confident of where we are and the work we've been doing, and I'm quietly confident that it's going to be good. Actually, you know, again, we've got a lot of hard work to do, and I won't stop saying that. But I feel good, and I think the team's in a good place, and I'm very proud of the guys I work with.
So fingers crossed for a good race in Berlin. And Alex, just before we leave, there's one thing that's been raging a lot of debate in the world of motorsport. That sim racing, there's been a lot of drama going around with real world drivers competing as well. Obviously, what's happened to Daniel is it was a bit of a sad scenario. But how do you look at it in your view? Do you think it's a bit fair? And do you think sim racing can actually be a good vertical for motorsport? And you know, brands are taking it so seriously. Is it something that you look at it as it's fair, or is it like a bit too soft in this case?
You know, at the end of the day, all I can say is that I started racing when I was 11 years old, doing karting and stuff, and that I will always be in love with real racing, and I really respect where simulator racing's place is in the world, and the whole of esports in general. And I think it's great. From my side, it's yeah, it's maybe a different generation. It's a different time than what I was used to. So yeah, I don't really have such strong feelings towards it in each direction. I think it's great, and people should enjoy whatever they want to enjoy, actually, and that for me is what I believe. If it makes you happy and you enjoy watching it, then that's mega. So in that sense, it can only be a positive for racing in general, because it's a great platform and people love watching it. I mean, I enjoyed watching it as much as the next person. It was good fun, and yeah, I think we all enjoyed it.
Absolutely. Alex, just before we wrap up this interview, do you have any special message to all the Mahindra Racing fans? You know, we've got quite a big legion back in India as well. So anything that you'd like to say to them before the Berlin ePrix comes up?
I just want to say, I hope you can get behind us again. And I promise we are going to push as hard as we physically can. And it will not be for a lack of trying that we will be pushing for the best results. Having spent a fair amount of time with this team now, I can really hand on heart say that these guys and girls do not stop working. We are there till late at night and up at the crack of dawn to bring more performance to the team, and hopefully we can do you proud.
Well, Alex, once again, thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for being here on Pits To Podium, and all the very best for the Berlin ePrix.
Thank you very much. Cheers, guys.
Well, thank you so much, folks, for watching. If you like this video, please feel free to give a like and to share this video with your friends and fellow family members, and also to subscribe to the channel as well. Once again, thank you so much for watching, and see you in the next one. Bye-bye.